Hey guys, welcome back to another monthly market update. Today is September 12th. We're reviewing the stats for August 2025. Patty, Jen, how you doing?
Great,
Okay.
thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to
Good.
review this very interesting month.
Yeah.
And let's try to understand what's going to happen in the next coming months with, GDP contracting at least 1% annualized. You have job losses upwards of 60,000, and we have a possible rate cut coming from the Bank of Canada. So, my initial question to you two is buyer opportunity closing or is it about to blow open?
Is buyer opportunity closing? Okay. So we were just discussing this before we started, but we don't believe it is at this moment. But what happens is, and I had a conversation with an agent in Vancouver yesterday, that what happens is, of course, at some point, the inventory starts to get absorbed because people start to see, as we do now, that there are some pretty good opportunities. And those opportunities will start to disappear because what happens is, as they become bought, there are many people out there who will never accept what the market is right now. They can't for various reasons. Either they can't because they don't have enough equity in their home, or they just are uncomfortable selling for a price that they're not thinking is the right one. Whatever it is, they will not come on the market. So the buyers have some pretty good opportunities right now. We know there's a fair amount of inventory that's well priced. We have some of it ourselves, and we know that it's well priced because we're getting a lot of showings. But there's a lot of hesitation on the part of the buyers. Everybody's worried. I want to be the one who gets the best price, and that's fair enough. We're all in the same, uh, mentality
Situation.
about that,
Yeah.
of course. But at the same time, as those properties disappear, your advantage disappears, and then inventory starts to decrease, and then you're stuck waiting, and we don't know what's going to happen after that. So there is opportunity right now. If you're a buyer, I would be buying 100%.
Jen, do you share the same sentiment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, month over month, we saw like a certain amount of sales in July and we saw fewer sales in August. But I do think things will pick up sales wise when we can review the September data. But there is no doubt in my mind that we are in a very special time for buyers. The buyer has choice. When I go to set up my buyer tours right now, in the past, it might be 2 or 3 properties. No, I now have 7 or 8 properties, really decent ones that I can show buyers, and this is unusual. So I think we are and we are perhaps at the peak of the buyer opportunity. And as Patty mentioned, the thing that buyers really need to understand right now is the window will close. We don't know when it will close, but it will close as the inventory gets sopped up.
I agree with all those comments. We definitely have a rare moment in Vancouver real estate. Sales are kind of starting to recover softly. Prices are easing, inventory's elevated. Like it's kind of a unicorn situation there for buyers if the home is
Yeah.
right. But let's get into some of those numbers. So we're talking about sales for the month of August. Year over year, they're actually up 3%, which is, it's been an uptick in activity. There was 1,959 sales in August. It's still 20% below the 10-year average. And Jen, you're right. The sales compared to last month were down 14%. So my question to my panel is this a sign of a sustainable recovery, a seasonal bounce? Like what's with the slight uptick in year over year sales?
Go ahead, Jen.
I don't think it's really a meaningful statistic. And what I mean by that is if we saw some kind of really big, what we're going to call recovery, the numbers would be similar to July, and they're not. They're off of July. So we didn't really see that sustained kind of like, oh, let's move into September and, kind of, really get going. And I don't think we saw that. So,
You have to ask yourself whether it is seasonal because we did see a whole lot of things happen in July, and then people went away. and then school started, so we do have this whole, we've got some pretty distracted clients ourselves, right? Because there's a lot going on. Either someone's a teacher or someone, kids are starting school or whatever. And it's a lot of thises and that's on the outside of their lives, causing a bit of a halt. But it's what will happen is in the next month that the buyers that are out there, and there's a lot of buyers out there, like considering how much inventory there is and what we're getting in terms of showings, there are a lot of people floating around that want to buy. And so once they've got the idea that they're going to, and the inventory starts to absorb, we might see some of that sustainable sales into the last part of the year. It's hard to say, but I think that's what's going to happen. That's my belief. So a lot of good deals.
Let's mark that down as a crystal ball. Let's come back.
There's a lot of good buys and there's a lot of buyers. So, they're going to start to realize it.
Cool. Let's talk about newly listed homes for sale. There was 4,225 detached, attached, and apartment properties newly listed for sale. It is up 2.8% year over year. And it's actually right in line with the 10-year average. Now, new listings kind of peaked in April, and month over month, so July into August, new listings are down 25%. Now, new listings don't mean a whole lot, just means the stuff that's kind of refreshed getting back onto the market, but it can tell us the speed at which listings are coming back on. But coupled with this is total inventory. And the total inventory is 16,242 homes. It's a 17% increase compared to August 2024 and almost 37% above the 10-year seasonal average.
Wow.
When we're looking at total inventory, it seemed to have peaked in June, and right now we're down 5% month over month. So inventory has started to soften. Where do we predict inventory going towards the end of the year now that we're into September? It's the end of summer. And then part two of this question will be, how do we think prices will be effective if we think inventory is going up or we think inventory is going down?
Oh, it's hard to say until later in September, because oftentimes people list early in September and then it sort of settles down. So we have seen, again, back to Jen's point, she can take people, a buyer out and show them 10 properties where before she might have been able to show them 2 on any given outing. Is the inventory going to get higher? I suppose it really depends on world situations more than anything. Are people starting to lose their job? Or I don't know. There's factors that create a need to sell, but the need to sell is not been here. That's why our inventory has stayed so stable. Like, people are okay. They may have more challenges with what's happening in the world, but they're not desperate in any way. And I haven't seen that this year at all. I've seen it in past years, but I've not seen it for a long time. For a long time.
I agree with you, Patti. And so here's what I've seen with boots on the ground out there showing real estate is that people that purchased at a certain time, like if they purchased in 2021 and are trying to sell, it's a really hard go. That was the peak of the market. Those prices were unbelievably high at that time. So when they're trying to turn around, and let's say they purchased and they renovated, it would only be normal for them to then think, gee, I've got to get my money out of this and, at least break even. So they're kind of looking for a bump. Well, we know that the market is not bearing that. So what I've seen is properties that were on in the spring, on in the summer, and then came off the market in August. And if I followed up with those realtors, you know what they told me? They said, you know what? The seller just doesn't feel like the market will bear what they want in terms of their what they're going to get out of the property. We're going to take it off and we're going to put it back on in the spring. So much to what Patti's saying is the need for the seller. And some of these are vacant, by the way. They're just going to carry them. They're going to pay the insurance. They're going to pay the taxes. They're paying the maintenance fee. They're not worried about it. They're just kind of saying, you know what, I'm okay. So I think what Patti says is right. Like, we've had so many people purchase properties that are they weren't desperate in the first place when they were purchasing them, and now they're not desperate to sell them.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for the market to give them what they want.
The shift. So what I hear you guys saying is like sellers need to align their price with the market. Like it's no longer optional. Like you have to align your price.
If you want to
Otherwise,
sell, yes.
if you want to sell, otherwise that's the difference between selling and sitting on the market.
Selling and listing.
And the
sellers and listers.
And it's really getting people to understand that the numbers, what you sell for and what you pay, don't matter at all. It's the difference. And oftentimes we can prove to people that based on what has happened with the market, that they're actually making a better move now than they would have a year and a half ago. And that's why we saw so many people moving up in the market. We had so many clients moving up in the market in the last 6 months because it was easy to prove to them that their timing right now was an advantage to them.
Yeah.
So it does not matter what the number is. It doesn't. It only matters what the difference is and where you put yourself. If you're putting yourself in a better position because you want to be in a certain neighborhood, or you always wanted to be in that neighborhood, and now you can afford it. It's time to do it because it's all relative, and properly priced homes are selling all the time.
That's an interesting comment. So as we're kind of talking about price, when we look at price and we look at the stats, the benchmark price is 1.150. So 1.15 million. And this actually fell about 1% from July, and it's down about 2 to 3% since January, so since the beginning of the year. So does this price drop reflect easing sellers' expectations? Or is it No. Does it reflect easing sellers' expectations?
Yes. Yes. I think in order to sell, you have had to adjust your expectation, and you had to adjust your price, because what we could achieve 2 years ago, we're not achieving now. So to me, I think that is one of the reflections of it. It's also a reflection of how much there is to choose from, like we just said. So there's had to be this adjustment. So only people that have adjusted are selling.
And then do you think the price reduction will actually motivate buyers to act now, or do they see the price reduction and think it's just going to continue? Inventory's high, the world events, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to wait and try to get at the bottom. So this is something we talked about at the very beginning. Is it now, or is it in a few months?
It's going to come down to need, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can only stay at your parents' house for so long. If you sold your 2-bedroom apartment, you're going to start saying, I don't want to be here anymore. So it is going to come down to need, but there is absolute evidence, clear evidence, that the prices are better for whoever's buying in right now than they were 6 months ago. And yesterday I looked up a history of a property. The price of it is now for sale is lower than what they paid in 2021.
Yes, right? I'm seeing that.
So it's just a reality. Okay, so let's get our heads into reality and let's remember what we're doing. So, okay, if you're planning to take all your cash and spend every dime in Barbados or somewhere, and that's where you're going, well, maybe wait a couple of years. You might get more. We don't know. But if you're just transitioning to another home in the same market, forget it. What's it worth? How much is it worth right now? And then that's relative to what I'll be paying on the other
and then
side.
What's the spread?
The one proviso I would have, Adam, is that some areas of the market haven't adjusted as much as others. And so it's really interesting to look at a certain segment of the market where maybe there's been a 2% drop, and others when there's been a 7 or 8% drop. All I can tell you is it's all going to even out. That 2%, those people holding on and thinking they're the lucky one, they're not right. It will even out. So it's just going to take a little time, right? Just like if we look at what's happening in the Valley, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, all those markets are just decimated right now. right? So we're still busy, and that's interesting. But what happens, right? Because where are those people coming from our market to theirs? They can't afford as much. And so those people out there have to get used to that while their prices went up in COVID, they've come back down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to our last little segment here, and let's talk about predictions and then even the Bank of Canada here. So with the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision approaching, will lower borrowing costs add fuel to this slow recovery? And or what do you guys think will happen next week? And then after that announcement, how do you think the market might react? And just give me an idea of kind of where we're headed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anything is going to make everybody jump off the fence and buy. I think that whatever happens, it'll be a slow kind of uptake. But let's face facts. If we have another rate cut, that means more affordability. And so if you are renting, if you have been lucky enough to try to put together your down payment, this is a wonderful time to buy. And
or
so,
if you've already sold and you're sitting
or
on
if
the
you've
fence,
already sold and you're just waiting until, yeah, it's ideal.
your
So, but yeah,
opportunity will disappear.
yes,
And
but so
you
no,
gotta
a rate
you gotta
cut
pay
will
attention.
add a little bit of fuel, but it's
Yeah,
not
I
going to
mean,
be like
if you have
a big fire.
stability, right? If you have job stability and,
Yes.
you know, pending your economic circumstance and timing's right for you, then yeah, it might affect a few buyers positively, but overall, we're
What
saying
is
it's
the
not going to have
buzz
a
though,
huge
Adam?
impact.
Are they saying that we're going to see a rate cut? What's the prediction right now?
I think the prediction is a small cut.
A rate cut.
I think right now they're saying that unless something's changed recently, I heard about an 80% likelihood.
Okay.
Okay.
But no, like you said in months past, though, no one's buying because their rate is now 3
No.
versus a 3.25. It's just awesome. I saved a little bit more on interest this time. In 5 years, your interest rate changes anyway.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a lot of information for the month of August, which is a unusual month to be reporting on, a little an outlier in the market information, if you would say. Do you have any last comments you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I just hope everybody. Yeah, I hope everybody. I hope
Get
everybody
off
enjoys
of it.
enjoys the last few days of summer and takes advantage of getting in and looking at what's available out there, because there's a lot to choose from.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, Adam.